What's going on, everyone? So first off, I want to start by saying, I cannot stand Officer Acosta. She drives me crazy. But, to be fair, I think that's the point, right? Which means the show is doing their job, which means Samantha Brown is doing her job. She's done an excellent job. Basically getting all of us to hate her, right? And that's kind of been the consensus that I've seen from people. Anytime I talk about Officer Acosta, people are always like, man, I can't stand her. And again, I think that's the point, right? She's supposed to be this obnoxious, trying to do too much type character. And we all despise her. And I love that for us, right? But, a couple things. One, obviously there's clearly building up her story, right? I imagine she's going to have some level of significance in season 4, now that we have confirmation for season 4. What that is, we don't know. We're going to go over a couple theories and ideas here in a moment. But, in reality, we don't really know. We finally found out her first name, which she said in an interview that they didn't want her to talk about it. Now, it looks like she did clarify later that, they told her not to talk about anything, right? It wasn't specific. She didn't necessarily mean it specific for just that. But, she did say, I do know the name. I'm not allowed to say what it is, which kind of sparked, okay, so is this Eloise reincarnated? What is this? What's going on? Because it's what first name would be relevant? What first name matters if it's not Eloise, right? Abby, a lot of people are oh, maybe it's Abby, but I don't think so because it's so new, right? Abby didn't die 20 years ago, right? So it couldn't have been Abby reincarnated because, again, just the timeline doesn't add up. Timeline doesn't work. And I know, from clearly time's not just as fluid as it is other places, but, again, Boyd hasn't been there for 20 years, 30 years, right? Because she's kind of a newer cop, right? So she's young. But a couple things, right? One, it almost feels like her story is building up to either overthrow Boyd or turn the town on Boyd. Right? It feels like tensions are continuing to brew between Boyd and Officer Acosta, Dani. Right? And you heard Donna herself say that, the town just doesn't believe in you anymore. That, people just don't believe in you, right? When he was talking about Fatima and they'll understand and she's just they don't believe in you anymore, Boyd, right? So he's already losing the town. You have this new, cop that's came in that feels like she's the smartest in the room. She's the best in the room. She's trying to do a little too much. She's a little over the top, right? And so it would make sense that she would kind of try to rally the troops at some point. I saw Boyd torturing, Elgin, right? She finds out that Fatima was the one that killed her. Oh, turns out that I could almost see Boyd having Elgin take the fall and the blame for Tilly to protect Fatima. And I think Donna would probably go along with it because it's Donna was willing to go along with Boyd going all 0 Dark 30 on Elgin. Right? Because, again, they don't really know Elgin. They know Fatima. They love Fatima. Right? To Boyd and Donna, that's their daughter in many ways, right? So the way that they approach this is just very different. So I could see maybe Officer Acosta maybe finding out some details, finding out some dirt, and kind of using it to turn people on Boyd, using it against Boyd. And all of a sudden, maybe you get these two different factions, right? Maybe you get the people that follow and believe in Boyd, and you get the people that follow and believe in Acosta. Maybe Acosta takes over Colony House or something like that. I could see her and Donna kind of going at it, but it's very possible. Maybe that's kind of how this plays out, where Boyd and, everyone, all the townspeople go to the town, and then you have the people that Colony House. It just feels like there's something's brewing here. Which also, by the way, Kenny, my boy, he's over there just putting in that work with Dani. Right? They're even on a first name basis. Right? We had no idea what her first name was, and he was like, Dani. I was like, oh, He really is. He's swooping. Like, give it up, right? Like, go on with your bad self, Kenny. But I digress, right? A lot of people think that she is Eloise, that she is a reincarnated version of Eloise, which still very well could be the case, right? Thing is, how far does that go? Like, what's the extension on that, right? You have Tabitha and Jade are the reincarnated versions of Miranda and Christopher and so on and so forth. All the way down the line to, John and Mary, right? Whenever that place was first conceived and the first two people there, right? Boom. They have a daughter who died. Kind of see a pattern there. Okay. Right? Eloise supposedly died. Which, side note, we don't even know if she's really dead. They have done everything in their power to not confirm her dead. Right? Like, even, they show us a marker of where she's supposedly buried. And Henry asks Victor, and he's like, I think so. Like, that was your opportunity to be like, yep. Yeah, then that's that. But nope. I just think that the writers, I don't think that they know what they want to do yet with her. I don't know if they want to, so you kind of leave it open-ended. You leave it for interpretation. And then it's like, if you want to go down that route, you can, because it's like, hey, Victor said he didn't know. But if you don't want to go down that road, it's like, you saw the marker, right? Like, you gotta, like, well, duh. Like, it's kind of, you can play it that route. But, again, how far does the reincarnation part of it go? Right? Like, so is Eloise the reincarnated version of the little girl that helped unlock Tabitha and Jade? Does that mean Julie's the reincarnated version of Eloise? Right? Like, again, how far down the rabbit hole does it go? Because if it is a daughter thing, then it would be Julie, not Officer Acosta. But maybe there is this, like, kind of loop in the timeline thing, because you have to keep in mind, Victor not dying probably threw a wrench into everything. That could be a real possibility. But also, I think to a point, like, like, Jade and Tabitha were chosen for a reason, right? Like, they were the parents that didn't sacrifice their children. All the monsters got immortality. All the monsters can't die, as we saw with Smiley, because they sacrificed the children, which are the Nkui children, to have immortality. Jade and Tabitha refused. Jade and Tabitha would not do that. And then they ended up dying, and so did the daughter. Right? So they lost everything. So it makes sense that Tabitha and Jade would keep coming back, just like the other parents can't die. This is kind of like the balance way. But because you didn't sacrifice children, you can't really remember. So you have to kind of unpack that. You have to kind of unravel that a little bit here. We're not just going to give you that piece. So I don't think, if I'm being honest, I don't believe Acosta is Eloise reincarnated. It's very possible. I'm not going to completely rule it out. Like I always say, with the show, you never know. You can't rule anything out. I just don't really buy it, because I just think that there's clearer patterns and stuff here. So it's kind of like, I think that would be, I think you'd have to really kind of work to make that make sense. But I don't think it's like crazy impossible. And also, like, why is she so young? Right? Like, why? Like, so that means she got reincarnated a long time after. Like, Tabitha makes sense, right? Because Miranda died, and then, like, year later, Tabitha's born. So that makes sense. But, like, it's like Eloise died, and then 20 years later, or 15 years later, or whatever. It's like, okay, well, when do you draw the line on the reincarnation part? So that's kind of my thoughts in that regard. But I do think she's going to have a big role. I do think that she's going to be a big part going forward, big piece going forward. And I do think that she's probably going to get to the point. She's probably going to overthrow Boyd. It really feels like they're headed for that, like, showdown. They're headed for that clash. And you're going to get, like, some troops behind her. You're going to get some troops behind Boyd. And it's going to be this, like, bit of a showdown. Like, I could see that. Where, she comes in and tries to overthrow the king type thing. Think that that's probably a safe bet. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you think, like, yeah, that's basically what it seems like is going to end up happening? Do you think, no way? No, Boyd's Boyd. They're not going to let that happen. Do you think she is the reincarnation? Do you think she's not? Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know either way down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.